Hello guys, my name is John, making the third video on this channel, going direct to the point. I'm still talking about structures, pains, strengthening, weakenings of structures that we have in our body. And today this structure is going to be right on the elbow. It's going to be the topic of epicondylitis. So epicondylitis, a lot of people have that. Around 200,000 I saw searching cases in the US a year, which is a pretty common thing that happens then. We have two. Actually, we have one, but in different size. Everything is going to be close to our body, like everything right here, because we have two parts. We have the parts on this side in our body. This is closest to our body. This is more lateral to our body. The closest thing, everything that's going to be closer is going to be considered a thing that's medial to our body. So everything is going to be like this. It's going to be medial. Everything on this side is going to be everything lateral to our body, right? And we have this structure which is called the epicondyle. It's right in our elbow over here, right? We have this bone over here that you can touch it. You can pretty palpate it if you go up like this. There is like a pretty big bone over here. It's called the epicondyle. And this, since I said this is medial, this is going to be our medial epicondyle. And if you go on the opposite side, right? You touch your arm like this, or you can do it like this. You feel another bone right over here. This is going to be our lateral epicondyle. So like they have two actions, which means every exercise you do might have different impacts on the two of them. Start with the medial epicondyle. If you follow the medial epicondyle, it goes from here to our forearms. If you follow it like this, you put your hand on the epicondyle, just go straight. You're going to feel that it goes right to this part. This part on the forearm is called our flexors of the forearm. And you can see that any exercise, if you guys have ever done any forearm exercises, you're going to activate this part by doing this movement. You're going to feel this. The other part is going to be the exact opposite. And this, as I said, the medial epicondyle follows right up to the flexors of the forearm. What about the extensors though? Well, do the same for the opposite side. Let's do a lateral epicondyle. Right here, find your lateral epicondyle. You're going to feel the bone over here. Right on this bone, the lateral epicondyle. You follow straight again. Where are you going to stop? You're going to stop here now. You're not going to stop here where we were stopping at the beginning. Now you're going to stop you're going to stop at the opposite side. These are the extensors of our forearm. What's going to be done is the opposite movement of what we did before. We were like this. A flexion for the flexors. Now we're going to do the extensors. Lateral epicondyle, extensors. Medial epicondyle, right on the flexors. So this is going to be, you can get a bench, you can do it on the cable, you can do it right close to your knee, you can like put your arm on your knee, grab a dumbbell or anything like that, or the cable if you want. And this is going to be the exercise for extension of the elbow. You can see that my extensors, they get pretty like defined when I do this, when I'm going up and down. And you're supposed to do the whole range of motion, the whole movement when you're doing this. It's called amplitude. You go down and you go up as well. And you control that weight. And you don't want to go too heavy because you're having an inflammation over here. It's basically an inflammation on the elbow, an inflammation of the tendon. So what you're going to do is you have to strengthen it. This is the secret of it. If you do any medication, any type of stuff like that, it will get better. It will probably get better. But when you come back, as I said, it's an inflammation. It's a weakened tendon. And I've seen a lot of orthopedics, physical therapists doing their way of work. Usually, sometimes a doctor might prescribe you a medication for anything like that. But every professional have to use their weapons of support. But the physical therapist, which is like specialized in all these body parts, what they're gonna do is the strengthening, and I've seen this a lot, the strengthening of these body parts. So with the lateral epicondyle on the extension, they're probably gonna do exercises of strengthening. Pretty lightweight, like 2-3 times a week. When you do these on the gym or at your physical therapist, you're gonna feel a little knock. You're gonna feel a little knock because you're touching right on that tendon. So it's going to feel probably a little knock, but this is the way of strengthening because you're touching right on that tendon. You're basically like, my guy, we gotta get stronger. We gotta get stronger. And you cannot do this without strengthening. And this is the only way you can do it. Go a little bit close to failure, pretty lightweight, and then when you start feeling it, stop right away. You can start increasing the weights week by week, and I believe after some time, eventually the whole pain is gonna stop, and you just strengthened a tendon that you were supposed to strengthen that got weakened. And a lot of people, when they get weakened tendons and inflammation or anything like that, they're probably going to stop. They're going to stop for a month, 2 months, a week, 2 weeks, and they're gonna maybe do some medication. When they come back, what's gonna happen? After a week or 2 weeks again, it's gonna start over again. Because that tendon, you just stopped. You didn't strengthen it. So it's weak. So it's not gonna be able to handle the exercises that you're doing. It depends on what you're doing, of course, in the gym. You can see that a lot on boys that like doing a lot of deadlifts because the back is a big muscle, it can handle a lot of weight. And when you do that, you can see that your forearm is probably gonna get pretty fatigued when you do it. You can see that a lot of people wear straps, that thing that you wrap around your fists right here. So you have that support. You can see that when you hold something, for example, when you're gonna hold a bar with a deadlift, you're gonna see that your flexors are gonna get pretty defined over here. And as well, when you're doing, for example, hammer curls, when you're doing biceps, the same thing is gonna happen with the extensors when I'm doing this movement right over here. These are my extensors, relax. And when I'm doing hammer curls. And if you don't have this part strengthened, right, because our back is a pretty big muscle, the back can handle a lot of weight, but the forearm maybe is not ready for it. You might have an injury or anything like that because your forearm is just not strengthened enough. And for people that like having tricep exercises, for example, which is the extension of the elbow, of course, I would suggest to go a little bit lighter because it's still like, it's not on your forearm, it's more on the humerus part, the triceps, but it's still gonna be, I mean, the elbow is right on the middle of these two muscles over here. So it's still gonna be involved in that movement, which you're gonna do an extension. You're probably going to still feel a little bit of this part on the elbow over here. So a thing you can do actually, which is not going to be too much for your elbow, is probably going to be triceps exercises when you're actually sitting down. Because for example, when I'm doing a tricep extension like this, my elbow kind of moves a little bit. When I'm sitting down, I have this shoulder much more stable, which stabilizes also the elbow. And I only do the extension, and I'm not moving this way. I'm not moving like this. I'm not doing like on the extension where I have no stabilization, doing like this. I'm not moving too much on my elbow. And this happens usually when people are not paying attention. You can see that, for example, in the mirror, that when you're doing a tricep extension standing up, that you're kind of moving a little bit. Normally, that's not too bad, but when you got epicondylitis, this might knock here a little bit, and it might not feel good. The same thing would be, for example, when you go on the crossover, you get one of the crossovers, you get the other crossovers, you sit down on the bench, and you do extensions here as well. When you do extensions standing up, the probability of you going like this with the elbow, realize my elbow is much higher. When you're sitting down, it's much more stable. The shoulder makes that elbow stable, and you can just extend your elbow like this. Other than that, well, I think the video is kind of long for now. This is it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope this video was good for you. I hope it helps you on anything. And of course, try to see a physical therapist or anything like that. The professional that knows what they're doing. They can assess you, and that's gonna be probably the best thing you're gonna do. And thank you so much again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a great one.